What's good, everybody, and welcome to the brand review. Today I am joined by Axel Solaris, and we are going to be talking everything brand, design, music, toys and streetwear. What do you reckon?
Let's do it, man.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the brand review by Hyperfocus. Today I am joined by Axel, also known as Solaris. He is a creative director and artist, and we have been talking for quite some time about getting him on the channel, and today is the day. Would you like to say hello to the people?
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm Axel, like you said, and I'm very excited to be here and chat a little bit about all these nice things here to my right.
So today we are doing it a little bit different because there are a lot of topics that I wanted to cover with Axel. He's actually brought into the studio 5 things that have inspired him over his creative career. So there are some landmark objects that he is displaying kindly and very professionally for you guys. Yeah, we're going to be discussing sneaker culture. We're also going to be jumping into art and fashion, and of course it would not be complete without us talking about some music. We actually met at a streetwear flea market where our worlds collided with like some similarities when it comes to design and streetwear and also branding and music. We've also DJ'd together, so it's really cool to have you here. Enough listening to me waffle. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Just give us like a little bit of a background of where you come from and your history so far up until this point of sat here.
Oh my God, okay. What was a brief history of time or something? I'm born and bred in Hamburg, Germany. I was always excited by music and fashion and art via the medium of hip-hop. So I'm an old hip-hop head. And of course, I started graphic design because that's what you do when you're excited by all these things. And I started studying in Hamburg, but then I had the chance to go to London, which was always kind of my favorite city creatively. And I was very lucky to get into St. Martin's, which for the informed listener is a very good
very cool
design university in London. So I was really excited to go there. And first of all, it was just planned that I stay there for a year. But then I loved it so much, and it was really such a fit that I was able to stay there and wrap up my studies. And then I started working in London, and the rest is history, as they say.
Amazing, man. Yeah. So let's jump straight in. So as I said, you have brought 5 objects. The first one being something that's also quite close to my heart. And if you've watched the channel before, you may have seen some toys in the background, and that is the collectibles. And we're going to be looking at, how would you class it? Street art toys?
Urban vinyl, I think, was the term back in the days. Yeah, I mean, it's like this whole street scene is so interconnected, and as we see, it rose to unbelievable heights. I mean, with Pharrell Williams being appointed, with Louis Vuitton, I mean, we really see how big hip-hop culture and street culture went. But back in the 90s, it wasn't such a thing, and I was working in a local skate store here in Hamburg called Thomas E. Punkt. It's still around. Check it out. It's an amazing store, 5 floors. They got their own brand called Omen. It's a visual treat because they did so much great architectural work inside that building. So once again, you see fashion, music, interiors. I came across a toy for a skate brand called Silas. So we had Silas. It was the time in the 90s. Silas, Fucked, Stussy, all these kind of brands were like really starting to come up. And Silas created a toy with a London illustrator called James Jarvis called Martin. And I brought this little gentleman here, which is not the original Martin. It is a anniversary collaboration with Bounty Hunter. Of course, this culture originated in Japan, like all cool things do, unfortunately, and they just know what they're doing, and yeah, that really blew my mind. So it was the first time I was really shown an item which was looking like a toy, but was directly linked to street culture and to a fashion label, and yeah, that was amazing, blew my mind. At that time, I got offered that toy for 30 Deutschmarks, and I didn't buy it. And I think
can you translate that for the viewers, anyone who doesn't really know what a Deutsch mark
maybe
is?
It's like 15 euros. Basically,
oh, really?
before,
Okay.
yes, before we joined, there was all this euro situation. I know you Brits didn't have any of that.
Sorry. And
so
we left.
But great, but we're still united here together in front of the mic. So that's
right
cool.
now, we are united.
Right now, right
we're
here.
showing the spirit, right?
Yes.
Good.
So yeah, and James Jarvis really became a big name, and I mean, he worked with Nike, he worked with IKEA and really big brands. He was a commercial illustrator, and then he did a fun thing on the side for his mates at Sam's City Skates, by the way, another London.
City Skates. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
that's where he started out, a legendary skate store in London. So
right
that was
next
the first.
to Rough Trade Records as well.
Exactly. You went exactly, yeah. And yeah, I didn't buy it. So 30 Deutschmarks, I think it's now 15 euros or something. So it was and now I think that's like 400, 500 euros to get that toy. Stupid. I didn't get it back then, but then now I got it, I got it. Yeah, and I think it all kind of originated. I think a lot of collectors started with Masters of the Universe and Star Wars. And I mean, I've been having a look here at the studio, and you have the He-Man figure done by Virgil Abloh, and I'm seeing a bit of a clone trooper there as well. So I think we both have Star Wars and Masters of the Universe as a first touch point between lifestyle. And I mean, I think both toys were not, at that time it was considered children's toys, but Star Wars had so much amazing product design, which I think made it what it was. Because before, the science fiction looked like Star Trek, like very silly and spandex and all that. And I think this worn look from Star Wars made it so amazing. And that's why the toys flew off the shelves, and you had so much different toys, because it was like, product design excellence, And
I think it's like, I mean, I also remember when I was a kid as well. I also said that I never want to grow up, and I didn't want anybody to take my toys away from me. Yeah. So this is my kind of grown-up excuse as well. This
Absolutely, that's the same trauma I'm having, because
adult trauma. Yeah.
At some time I just sold it all at the flea market, and then I say, oh damn, I'm really missing them. And the same with Masters of the Universe. I think with them, it was creating. I mean, with Star Wars you had a film, but with Masters you had only the toy packaging, and you had like little comic books. And back then already, I loved world building. So that's another thing when we're talking about these items.
How this connects also to the design and to branding, storytelling.
Absolutely.
That was the first experience for me of being kind of immersed in these other worlds. So it was the only way that you could really do it, unless you were like creating them yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was amazing, all the artwork. So fast forward, with that kind of groundwork. When I came across this, I was like, okay, this is like not the Hasbro thing. It's not based on a movie. Like, what is this? And as you can see, it has a very nice design aesthetic, shape-wise, illustration-wise. Check out James Jarvis, a legendary illustrator, and he created like a really big world with characters. They started their own toy company called Amos, and unfortunately they kind of closed shop, and James Jarvis is not doing so many toys anymore. He was like kind of he was the king of the golden era in a way, but it kind of died down. But he's still doing his illustrations and doing skate decks and everything. So yeah, James Jarvis, check him out.
Cool, nice, thank you. That leads on to actually the second artist, let's say, and also a studio favorite, and that is Kaws. I mean, I think it also connects very nicely with the toys. I mean, Kaws is obviously very famous for his toys, but also for his subvertising, the way that he kind of manipulates ideas and changes perspective on things. And he's definitely a Axel favorite, right?
Yes. I brought something a bit unusual. I'm pretty sure that at this point, everybody who's kind of design savvy or art savvy heard about Kaws. He's doing this kind of skull person with the crossed out eyes. And I mean, how do I start? There's so much rich history with Kaws. I think it is really interesting that he's coming from a commercial background as well. Like, he used to work at Disney. And this is why I think a big appeal of his art is that it's very clean and the colors are so vibrant. And this is based on his education at Disney, you know. So when he came to Japan and he got connected with the right people, they were like, oh, let's do a toy. Actually, Bounty Hunter was doing the first Kaws toy, the same guys that collaborated on this one. So as we keep on talking, you'll see all this is interconnected. Again, world building, you know. So, and Kaws, I think, really knew how to break out of that urban street arts niche in a way. Like James Jarvis, I think he never broke out to the mainstream in the way Kaws did. So that's why I brought this kind of cereal packet. As you can see, it's the Kaws edition. And I think the amazing thing is...
So sick, sick. I love it. Look at that.
So good.
It's beautiful.
And why I brought this is because it shows how much mainstream he got, like how deep he got into the mainstream. I mean, he got a balloon at Macy's Day Parade, and I mean, this is like Reese Puffs from General Mills. I think he did another collaboration in toys with them for the other cereals. And I mean, how big do you need to get? You know, normally you would put Barbie on it or Star Wars or whatever, but I think really having such a massive rollout of this character, which is a bit edgy. I mean, it's kind of a dead Mickey Mouse, you know? And having such a massive rollout that you put it on cereal, I think that's crazy. And I think he was the first guy really establishing that, because now, for example, with Travis Scott, he did like his own McDonald's menu. You have Cactus Flea, what is it?
Cactus Jack.
No, yeah, that, but Cactus Flea Market, I think they did kind of another design company. They did doing fashion and all that, and they did their own Happy Meal toys and all that kind of stuff. So this stuff normally, I think, again, in Japan, it's with Hello Kitty and all that kind of stuff, they were so more into it. But I think the Western Hemisphere, they were like, why would I put this? Why don't I put, you know, just a banana and some milk or something on it? So yeah, it's crazy, and it really shows how far that guy made it so far, you know?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, Kaws, incredible. I mean, we love it. Yeah. We love it. We love it here.
Toy not included, unfortunately.
That's why it's never been open.
That's
I don't think
it says.
It will probably still be good for the next 100 years. There's probably
sure.
some sugar in there.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
All right, that leads me on to the next topic, which is actually how we met. Sneakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are both a big lover of sneakers. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing Adidas Bape Undefeated collaboration ZX. And,
sick.
Actually, I camped out for these with a friend of mine. Shout out to Alex. And we camped out, and he visited me in London, and we were just in Soho. And word was that these shoes were coming out. It was actually a whole collection, and we were like, "Oh no, we're not getting these. You know, save some money." But we're having some drinks and had nothing planned. And suddenly, like, okay, let's go to the Adidas original store. And have a look. And then we went there, and there was like free drinks and everything, and sneakerheads everywhere, and we got into the mood, and actually they look quite nice. Suddenly this one guy approached us like, do you want to get in line? I'm doing the list. And we were like, what kind of list? And it was like, yeah, you're getting a number, and this is your number in the list, and then, you know, you can, tomorrow morning when they're dropping, then you're going to be in front of the line. We were like, okay, which numbers could we get? And he was like, yeah, 6 and 7. And we were like, oh, that's very nice numbers. So at some point we said, fuck it, you know, let's just camp out. But that was the caveat. The thing is, you had to be in the line and check in regularly. So he would go around. So if you couldn't just bail, come back the next day, but you had to be there.
That was when you had to put the work in for
That's
sneakers.
when you had to put the work in, yeah.
It's not like that anymore. You just like hang around and hope the bots don't beat you.
Exactly.
And press some buttons.
It's all manual hype work we were doing, And it was crazy. So we stayed there the whole night, and there were actually 2 drops. We were actually lucky because there was this whole collection was dropping at the Bape store as well, which was back in the days open as well. I mean, they reopened it now, but it was like Nigo days Bape store. And the Bape store would open at 11, but the Nike original store was opening at 9. So we had to queue 2 less hours, so it was lucky. And yeah, it opened at 9. And we went in, we got, of course, all 3 pairs, walking around. Then we walked past the Bape store, and everybody was like, oh, damn, let's have a look. It was hilarious. But I think this is, no pain, no gain. And stuff like that really makes memories.
Absolutely. I mean, I can see here you have the Jeremy Scott sneaker with you as well. I mean, that is something, right?
That was definitely something. So I was thinking, because I knew we were talking sneakers, so I was thinking, what should I bring in? And of course, should I bring some Virgil Abloh Nike or, the obvious hype stuff? But to be honest with you, I always like that Jeremy Scott stuff. And that's because a lot of people don't like it. So I'm always drawn to stuff which is a little bit different. And I like loud stuff as well. So I'm not a minimalist, let's say that. I'm an absolute maximalist. So, and what I really love about Jeremy Scott, if you don't know, he's a fashion designer from New York, and he got on board with Adidas and did for many years collections. I think he's still working for them. And his signature pair was the Wings. And I think everybody, at the beginning of the 2000s, remembers these, so that he actually put wings on the shoes. If you don't know, research, because he did a lot of crazy, outrageous stuff. I mean, that's his stuff, really heavily, queer culture referencing.
We will drop some stuff here right now. There'll be some images here of his crazy collection. So
okay,
there you go.
But as you can see already, I mean, he put a gorilla on the shoe that wears an Adidas shirt. Which, I mean, of course, this is all furry here. And I found them actually in a flea market here in Hamburg for
Really?
50 euros without box. And I just had to get them. And I always wanted to have them because, again, this is blurring the line to toys and object. And it's just so outrageous, but the same so fun that, I just love it. So as an object, it's really talking to me.
Awesome,
Paul.
Beautiful. I love it. I love how this all kind of ties in as well, because we're talking about gorillas.
Yeah.
Or apes.
Yes.
Which leads us perfectly onto a fan favorite of mine, probably a fan favorite of yours as well, is Nigo with a bathing ape. So if people don't know bathing ape, then shame on you. You're about to find out something about bathing ape. So please.
Wow.
Tell us.
Absolutely.
Nigo and the story. Why Bape? Why Bape?
Yeah. Again, that's tied to music and to London. I forgot. I want to bring this one. There was this issue of the Face, and I used to go to there's an international newspaper store here in the main train station in Hamburg, and they always had ID, Dazed and Confused, and the Face. And Lowdown, shout out to Lowdown magazine as well. So that was another really cool magazine around that time, and from Germany, which is good because normally Germany is just about craft work and stuff. And it was really nice to have a homebred cool magazine as well. But anyway, the Face, of course, much bigger. And they had a cover with Return to the Planet of the Apes or something. And that had a big story about James Lavelle, Mowax, we're going to talk about that later, and Bathing Ape. And it really blew me away. And it looked so cool. And when I went to London, I went actually to Spitalfields Market, and there was a store selling Bape. And of course, it was fake.
Yeah.
But at that time, now I'm going to blow you guys' mind, there was no fucking internet. There was no iPhone, so you couldn't check it out. And I was cross-referencing it so heavily with the pictures, and I was like, oh, that must be fake. Is it fake?
I do remember that shop. I've been to that shop. I remember.
Right?
Like,
I still must have that shirt somewhere. And of course, now it's fake as hell, but it looked good, and it was my first item. And I think I bought a pair of Bapesters and that shirt. I have no idea for how much, but yeah, so that sucked me in, and that whole, I kept uncovering with newspaper articles like, wow, what is this camo? Why is Biggie Smalls wearing it? All this kind of stuff. And I mean, we have to decide here. We're talking golden era Nigo Bape. So Bape got sold, Nigo exited. He's now working for Kenzo. Another sign how far streetwear is going into high fashion now. But we're talking, of course, the golden era when he ran it. And he was actually the guy. So basically, Nigo is a stylist from Japan, and he started this bathing ape brand that really, totally blew up. I brought one of the old shirts, so it was, again, actually this is a Kaws collaboration. So he was the first guy that, I'm not sure you can see that, but if you can, Bape Kaws, I mean, he was the first guy giving Kaws a break, so he basically had Kaws do a lot of artwork for Bape, and he did a couple of collections, so he really help Kaws to get ahead. And this is why you see all these guys hanging out, Pharrell, Nigo, Kaws, Murakami. It's all a clique.
He had his hands in a lot of people's careers as well. Absolute legendary status. And also Baby Milo as well.
Exactly. So this is another character they created. And again, Bape had this like amazing book. You can't get it anymore, but from Ritzuli. And Bape, I think for me, was the first label that really went all in. I mean, they had toys, they released music, they had fashion, they had a Bape gallery showcasing new artists. It was a complete lifestyle, and it was all very limited. You really couldn't get it. Before I was aware, I think even before Supreme started doing these obvious drops, it was like, when is that hoodie coming out? When is that shirt coming out? You really had to be in there.
They were one of the first to do it. They were one of the first ones. Yeah.
And that was really amazing. And through some friends I studied with, I was very close to the Gimme 5 hideout scene, which at that time ran Bathing Ape as well. So I was very lucky to be able to meet Nigo at some point at a book signing, and Pharrell and these guys. I would be at the Bape store, and suddenly I would look to my left, and suddenly there would be like Nigo browsing through the shirts, and I was like, So that's a great thing about London, that you can really make these, experiences. And and of course, again, these guys were inspired by Star Wars and Masters of the Universe as well. So, of course, I got massively triggered and started collecting. And if you're looking through the old Bape magazines, you see how much product they had. So they were, again, now everybody's used to Supreme, branding everything, and their mom, with a logo. But Bape did it first, people. Bape did it first. Bape did it first.
Actually, that also leads me on to the next topic, actually. Star Wars.
Yes.
Because we're also going to be going into music. I know there's a connection there. But there's two sides also to Bape as well. There's the American side of it. You were talking about Pharrell and who else?
Kaws, Clips, all these
Clips,
guys.
all this lot.
Lil
But there was
Wayne.
also on the Manchester scene. There was also Ian Brown as well,
Absolutely,
and also
yeah.
James Lavelle. All these guys were also rocking Bape and representing Bape, and that's actually one of the things that I want to talk about, because it's the Star Wars, Futura, street art, music, all coming together. The next topic is,
of course, Mowax, James Lavelle, another really influential figure on the streetwear scene. He used to work at a record shop at 18. He was very passionate about Japanese records. He started, talking to the Japanese artists that come into the store. He founded Mowax Records, I think, at 18 or something like that. Crazy. And it really blew up from there. And so I brought this box set. Normally people would have brought a Uncle record or a record that has the Futura artwork on it, but I decided, because there's so many videos about that already out there, I decided to bring something a bit different, because I think what can't be underestimated is the influence of James Lavelle as a tastemaker. So again, with design, you need somebody who's bold, you know, and brave, and just starts doing their things. And he didn't just run the label and was the A&R, but he was really good at connecting with artists. So you mentioned already Futura. Here's, for example, another thing I brought, which is basically a CD by Nigo, who released with James Lavelle on Mowax as well. And you see all these kind of dots. That's basically, and the iconic handwriting, and that's, of course, Futura. And James Lavelle was somebody who really revived Futura's career by rehiring him to do all the artwork. And at that point, I mean, Futura already, I mean, that guy is absolutely legendary. Check him out. I mean, again, he's everywhere at the moment. It's so great to see how much he's doing. There's actually going to be a new SB Dunk coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm already.
Oh my God, giddy.
I'm getting
giddy.
ready. I'm getting ready for it. I'm looking. Yeah, I'm going to be signing up for it for sure.
And so what I just want to say is, like, for example, this artwork is by Robert Del Naya, who's the singer of Massive Attack. And a lot of people maybe don't know, but he's an artist as well, or he used to paint. And James Lavelle was actually encouraging him to pick up the brush again, because he wasn't repainting, and said, "Oh, I love your artwork. Can't you do something for Mowax?" So this is basically a Heads 2 compilation. Legendary compilation, a lot of trip-hop, Nightmares on Wax on it, DJ Crush on there, Uncle, of course, Stereo MCs. So you really...
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I know,
saying
my
that
God.
list of people.
It's like old, and like all the young people now, Travis Scott fans going like, what is this? What? Was? No, and yeah, and as you can see, you know, it's a great artwork, front to back. And if you really open it up, you know, you got all this art on that vinyl as well, and it's very sturdy box and everything. So he really, again, it's not music, it's product, it's art. Of course, there was like a lot of Mowax fashion as well, you know, with the logo on it, which has been created by Swifty, and yeah, and so many iconic Futura covers as well. And then Futura met Nigo, and there's a lot of Bape stuff with Futura as well. So I really love how, again, world building, you know, you would go to Japan and go to the Bape Cafe wearing, you know, your Mowax hoodie and see the Kaws on the wall. So I really love this. You know, back in the days when we were young. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's a really kind of solid collection as well. And some really beautiful stories. And there's actually one thing that you mentioned as well, like all the younger guys not knowing who these makes us the old heads, I suppose. Yeah. Now, but also to give like a little bit of like background as well, and also to talk a little bit further about what you were doing at that point. You mentioned that you were in London. And I'd be really interested to hear about like your time, like a little bit of bonus footage, let's call this, right? And the end, your time in London as a designer, and finding all these things, getting closer to these things. What you learned whilst you were in the UK in comparison to what was going on in Germany, and how those two kind of cross over with each other. Because you've been back since 2016. Now it's a big question, but I think it's an important question, because I'm on one side,
yeah,
you're a German, you were there, I'm here, so we've done...
The tables have been turned in a way.
Yeah. So I'm just interested to hear your kind of thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I realized was that when I was in Hamburg, like the Germans are a little bit more reserved, and they're defining themselves, and designers as well, defining themselves through what they don't like. So when I was studying in Hamburg, it was always like, oh, that's shit, oh, that's naff, you can't listen to this music, that's horrible. So it was like a very big, I'm showing how cool I am by telling you how much I hate everything. And when I went to London, everybody was just talking about what they love. And that was so refreshing. And Because even back in Hamburg, that didn't gel with me, because I was like, I'm really passionate about stuff. I'm inspired. At that time, I already did club nights in the Mojo, and I was, of course, inspired what James Lavelle and Mowax were doing. So I had my own visuals as well, and I was designing the flyer, and I did T-shirts, and I did stickers. So I really, when I'm inspired by something, I really want to do it and be part of it, and not be this kind of naysayer. I love a positive vibe. So when I went to London, everybody was just talking about what they like, and nobody was critiquing. It was like, hey, I'm really into this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's amazing. I'm really working on this at the moment. The vibe at Solaris St. Martin's was so collaborative or passionate, and you wouldn't get judged for what you like. And I think that was fantastic. So that would be the biggest thing which I saw, that it was just a little bit like, why do you telling me something you don't like? That's not interesting to me. What's interesting is like, what do you like? What you're about. And I think this is why in London you still have grime, you still have drum and bass genres which are dead in Germany, because there would, when it would come over from England to Germany, it would be a big hype, and everybody would, who's trendy, like, oh, that's a new cool thing to be into. And then because there's no real passion, no real love for it, and it's not culturally grounded, then, oh, now it's gone. Like, oh, you're still listening to drum and bass, or, like, oh, is that not yesterday's music? And because, of course, it originated and it's so connected to Britain, you still have amazing tracks coming out, and you still would go, for example, as I'm a DJ as well, in Germany, another big thing is like, in Germany, you would DJ somewhere, and of course in the beginning, you have an empty room, you have to start somewhere. And in Germany, 3 people would go into that room, look around, see, oh, nobody's here, and then they would leave and go like, oh, maybe you have to come later. In Britain, 3 people enter an empty room, 1 gets 3 pints, 1 starts dancing, and 1 sits down and calls his mates like, hey, we are here and here, come down. And in half an hour, the place would be packed.
Absolutely.
I mean, you did some club nights as well. I mean, how was your experience?
You mean compared to here?
Yeah, but I guess you're dead now. You're not raving as much as you used to.
It's a little bit different for me now. But exactly as you said, it was like that. It was very much about a community as well. People really came together and got behind what we were doing, and it was always a collaboration of like art and design, and it's also why I really kind of fell in love with branding as well. Yeah, kind of understanding how to talk to people, the stories that needed to be told, and how to kind of build something that kind of was, like from all the things that you were talking about, like from Nigo with how he made things kind of the scarcity valuable, and also collaborating with other people and putting them first. That also really helped me to understand how it was to put like a club night on. It wasn't just about let's open the door and get people in. It was way bigger than that, and that was what was really important for me. That everything, all of those things that you talked about, are all very closely connected.
Yeah, and again, this kind of feeling of this no scarcity thinking. I feel sometimes in Germany there's this feeling of, if I'm giving something, if I'm not looking cool if I'm too into something. Yeah. And I think in London, you look cool if you're really into something. Like, for example, Nigo, he got into Kaws, and I think it's this kind of obsessive Japanese way of thinking. When you're into something, you go all the way. I mean, it's no shame.
They have a name for it as well. There's a word for
otaku.
It. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You're into it, and that's your path.
Exactly.
Your life. Yeah.
And I mean, this is where Bape started as well. So when he got into Kaws, he was pushing Kaws crazy. He wasn't like, oh yeah, whatever, I like him. He was like basically commissioning thousands of artworks. He would put everywhere. He would do instantly a collaboration with them. And I think this is where creatives today can learn from it, because sometimes you have the scarcity thing, like, oh, if I'm featuring my mate too much, then the limelight is away from me or something. But I mean, with the wrong people, that could be the case. But with the right people, I think it's great to have this energy. I mean, that was another thing the energy we had when we met and we started talking, you know. It wasn't like, who's cooler? It was more like, oh man, you got this, you know, we started bubbling. Now we're sitting here and you're putting me on your podcast, which I'm really grateful, and it's a lot of fun. Thanks.
Pleasure.
And yeah, exactly. So really getting into something that I think that is a London vibe as well.
Cool, man. All right, I think we're very close to wrapping up. Awesome that you've been here. I just want, for all the heads out there as well, is there kind of just one, like in one sentence, maybe it's Otaka?
Oh my God.
I don't know, is there one little thing that you would, after how many years you've been in the business? Must be 20 odd years.
Yeah.
I know,
long.
let's not give away any
ages. This beard didn't get grey.
Is there anything? Is there anything on that journey? Is there kind of one thing? I always love, just as a reference, what Virgil said is, everything I do is for the 17-year-old version of myself, and I think that is such a wonderful kind of way to look at the world. Such testament to what he stood for.
The childlike wonder.
And now I'm going to ask you, can you quote anything like Virgil?
Well,
no, but is there anything that you kind of you stand by, you live by? That we can.
Wow. Okay. That's a big thing. I mean, I could say something, Nev, like good vibes only or something. But I think design-wise, I would, for people starting out, I would maybe give 3 quick ones. And one is be authentic, like do what you feel passionate about.
Cool. Authenticity.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
Then the second thing would be a bit like fearlessness. So
I like that.
Because a lot of designers, you know, it's like it needs to be minimal. It's, you know, you try to fit into this kind of cool vibe of a designer. I mean, just look at this. You know, somebody said, I forgot who said it, but if nobody hates it, nobody loves it. And I think that's another thing. Like, don't be middle of the road, go all in.
The third one?
And the third one is like, don't forget it's a business as well. So I think that's very important because you get into the business, you're very passionate, and you got all this kind of cultural references, but you're still working for a client. So leave your ego at the door if possible, because it's like a craft. And if you really want to do 100% what you love, do art side projects. And that's actually something I wanted to show. Unfortunately, it fell off that table, but I'm gonna grab it now. And that's, for example, a 3D toy I painted of my character, because, for example, I'm doing a lot of stickers as creative side projects. What I love about stickers is they're very quickly done, and you can get them out there, you can trade them. So this is, you know, when you have to do maybe some compromises during your design work because you have to keep the client happy or other people, you have to work towards the brand of your client. And sometimes like, if you really want to do something free of all restraints, do stickers, do artwork, graffiti, whatever. And for example here, and I'm really proud of this, which is a 3D print of a character I've done. And again, this is really wrapping up what we talked about, because my sister was modeling this in 3D, and another friend of mine was basically overseeing the printing. And without these 2 other people, I would have not been able to create this, because you only have so much time, you only have so much expertise. In order to speed up the creation process, it's really good to connect with people who know what they're doing. So yeah, that is basically coming full circle from this kind of stuff, and now having my own figure in my hand. And we still have to figure out how to do a proper production run with this, because of course it's money and you need to have certain parts, but keep posted. Check out my Insta, Solaris100. So cool. You'll see when that comes out. That would be the thing, like, you know, be authentic, be fearless, but at the same time, if you're working as a graphic designer and you have to pay your bills, leave the ego on the side and try to do, it's a craft, try to do what's best for the client.
Thank you very much. That's concludes like a full story there, and I think that's amazing. Thank you for sharing some of your wisdom and also your journey. All of the links and everything that we talked about, I'll leave in the description below. As you say, you're doing stickers, you're also doing your art and design as well. So you'll be able to find everything down there. So please make sure you have a look. It's amazing stuff. Yeah, as always, thank you for spending time with us. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video. It helps us to continue to grow the channel. I'd just like to say thank you one more time.
And to you?
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the channel.
Absolutely. It was so much fun.
And as always, we will see you in the next one. Peace.